Blessings and love and greetings, all my relations, my children, my ancestors, my descendants. This is a true story that I'm going to continue on and carry forward for all our descendants to come. This story is called The Dark Satanic Mills in Fort Mcmurray, Alberta, Kanatakan, or Canada as it's sometimes called. It's a story about long, long ago, and as we start, I would ask you to go outside on the skin of Mother Earth and lay down, put your head on her breast, put your head on her hair, the grass, and call out to the Father Sun above and let his warming light and rays come into your mind, in your consciousness, and your heart. And may Grandmother Moon up there, whether seen in the night sky or during the day, she is always there, shining down her love and her medicine upon you, pulling the waves this way and that, and the tides of your heart towards her love. And Grandfather Universe, look up and see all the Grandfather Universe has created from the beginning of all that is. And here we are with an ancestral story that we will carry forward for all time to come. This long, long ago story, it started so long ago, way back what we call Polaria, Hyperborea, Lemuria, Atlantis, and now in this fifth age, past the time of Atlantis, Egypt, Maya, Aztec, and now here in this post-industrial age that we have with us. Now this part of the time we've indicated is now September 21. This is this fall equinox in which we balance the time of equal amount of light and equal amount of darkness. And yet, my brothers and sisters and my children, all my relations, this is a story of imbalance. Koyaanisqatsi, we say. Life out of balance and harmony harmed. And so we will tell the story and we will all together create some better story for a better ending. Now in this place called Alberta, northern Alberta, there is a place called Fort Mcmurray. And this is a place of great, great tragedy and destruction. But wait, I get ahead of myself. This whole Turtle Island we have here, now sometimes called Canada and the United States of America, was once covered by miles and miles of thick, heavy ice. And this ice had many different cycles to it. 110,000 years ago, there was a lot of ice in this place that we're speaking of, and all across the whole of Kanatakan, or Canada. Some of it melted, some of it shifted, some of it ground down the mountains, and some of it lifted up the earths, and some of it created seas and oceans all across Canada that then melted and then later became another ice age. And then it was so that over the last 20,000 years, there was the final Laurentian ice age. My brothers and sisters, you might remember this from your own wisdom learning from your elders as they sat around and told you of this. And after this long ice age was almost over, the peoples over in the other side of the world in Asia, and those who had drowned or nearly drowned in Atlantis, they needed some place and way to come to this country, this sacred land that Grandfather Universe and Father Sun and Grandmother Moon and Mother Earth herself was going to give to them to be their sacred home for time immemorial. As long as the sun shall rise in the east and shall set in the west, this sacred land will belong to the Horinosoni, the Unkwehueneha, those with a pure heart. And so it was about 10,000 years ago, maybe a bit earlier, there was a sacred passage or bridge of land that was opened up right in this place in northern Alberta where there was ice on the one side to the west and ice on the east, and a sacred land bridge was made possible so that those of our ancestors could come across the Bering Strait and come through this land bridge to find homes and create homes, all across Connecticut and further south, across the Medicine Line in what is now called America. Had it not been for the gift of Father Sun melting all the ice, Grandmother Moon pulling back the tides, and Mother Earth herself warming her heart and her flesh to create all this opening of land and creating some rivers and lakes so that the people could drink and bathe and cleanse themselves, and herbs and medicines and plants to harvest and to eat and to fill their bellies and to nourish their bodies and to heal their minds and lift their spirits, finally getting out of the icy cold and coming down through that iceless now land bridge down through Alberta. And so we know, our elders who are the wise ones, they tell us that all the First Nations, all the Indigenous ones, the Yellowhead, the Dogrib, all the Dene, the Athapaskans, the Cree, the Ojibwe, all the ones here, Kwakwaka'wakw, the Salish, all of the peoples, they came through that bridge, and then they set up their sacred lands wherever they may be, from coast to coast to coast. They were our ancestors who, through great hardship, brought all the wisdom with them of the medicine people, the Earth Mother herself, how to live in harmony and balance, and how to persevere and be patient for all the cycles of the seasons, and all the cycles of the ice, and all the cycles of the openness to the ice, the melting, the warming, the lakes, the rivers, and then the fish, the birds, and all the animals come back and returned, and all the trees, and all the medicine plants, and all the berries, the roots, the vegetables that we eat, and nourish our spirit, our mind, our heart, and our body. Now, long before these people that we call the heartless ones, or we call them Nahani, which means strangers to the heart, strangers to the people, strangers to the oneness of all our sisterhood, brotherhood, strangers to the circle of life. Long before these ones invaded on the east coast and the west coast of Connecticut, there were the elders and the medicine people and the prophets and visionaries, and they told us that through their dreams and visions that there would come a time when these people with a different skin but with a heart of ice, these heartless ones, that had minds of nothingness except for what they could make for themselves, and in their eyes was pure greed, pure desire, and pure hatred, and pure need to force and control all those creatures that they met, whether it was we two-leggeds, or the four-leggeds that roam the earth and the forests, or the ones that swim up the rivers, or the ones that fly in the sky. All were to be demolished and diminished and controlled forcibly by these ones who came. The heartless ones, the Nahani we call them. Long before this happened, though, which is only 500 years ago, a short time in our story, isn't it? Our elders told us there would come a time when these people would come, and they would destroy our land. They would destroy our culture and our languages. They would steal our children, and they would force them to have a crooked, twisted tongue like themselves. And they would force them to have a crooked, twisted mind with all sorts of demons in their mind, just like them. And they would force them to give up all that they had and imprison them in their poisoned minds and try to make them just like them. Well, my brothers and my sisters, for the sake of all our ancestors and our descendants who cry to us from spirit, we must heed the call to come back to our hearts and come back to faith and hope and love and wisdom and knowledge and action and strength and courage and indomitability to take back what is rightfully ours, and that is our hearts and the heart of Mother Earth. For in this time, we have noticed over the last 100 years that in this place we call Fort McMurray and places like it all over this country, Connecticut, the people have killed the Indians, our ancestors, our indigenous brothers and sisters. And many of these nations and tribes and languages have been completely wiped out, like the Yellowhead, who no longer exist. And what they have done is they have built these cities with all sorts of concrete that run in big squares that seem to go nowhere. There are no circles in these cities. There's no harmony and balance. There are only boxes. Boxes of poisoned minds, boxes of heartless ice, and boxes of bodies that are mechanical. For in their thinking, what they have done, like themselves, they are mechanical beings. They have no spirit. They have no heart. So they have created these gigantic mechanized creatures like themselves that gnaw and gnash and dig and growl and prowl. These monstrous beings they call caterpillar tractors that gnaw at our mother's flesh, and they dig and they dig and they dig, and they have these belts, these long belts, and this, what they look for is something in our Mother Earth, and in it is the blood of all our ancestors for tens of thousands of years. Don't they know that they're digging up the blood and the bones of our ancestors, along with the flesh of Mother Earth? Her oil is her wisdom and her knowledge, and they treat it like an object. They want it for their greedy selves. And so they gnaw and dig, and they make these big holes and pits in Fort McMurray and all the places like this in Connecticut and south of the Medicine Line. And what they are doing is they're killing themselves. For along with themselves getting sick with cancer and poison of the mind, which is the worst, and emptiness and nothingness of the heart, all the land and all the waters and the air and the earth herself, all the lakes and rivers are now poisoned for tens of hundreds of years. And all our indigenous people are sick and dying of cancer. And all the land is taken away from them and polluted with tailings and mine that are of all these toxic metals and effluents. And all the animals are dying. The fish are dying. They have 2 heads. And the animals are being killed. The buffalo, the elk, the deer, the muskrat, all of the ones, they're all being killed. The birds are dying from toxic pollution. They're all poisoned and dying in the trees, falling from the sky, and in the oil slicks of the tailings of the mines that are there. We see this and we shudder and we cry. Our ancestors are calling to us, and our descendants are calling to us from the spirit world, which is all around us. We hear them cry. And we ask, who will do something about this? Well, it is clear, my sisters and brothers of the world, and I ask you, as you're lying there in Mother Earth listening to this story, to share this story with all your friends, whatever continent or culture or nation you happen to be in. For maybe this is happening in Australia, or Bulgaria, or Iraq, or Persia, or Africa. Maybe the colonizers, the controllers, the ones who are crooks, the ones who are corrupt, maybe they're destroying your land and your culture and your people and all the resources. So tell the story and share this story. Like this story and share it along as you listen. Well, we can see what's happened over all this time for tens of thousands of years, and yet here we are now within 50 years, the whole land being destroyed and toxified and killed. All our relations are dying, including the ones who perpetrate these evils. They themselves, not only poisoned and sick in their mind, and have no heart, which is the core of the Unkwahuwe, or the human being, as we were created by the Creator, the Divine One, Songwayatizo, we call her him. They too are dying, and they will have no families left, for their children and their grandchildren will also get cancer and sick and die young. And so you see that the insanity of all this is that there's no logic, there's no science, there's no reason, there's no meaning, there's no purpose, there's no thought behind all this, except one thing, which is greed and selfishness. And that can and will be the destruction of all our peoples, unless we do something about this story to make it with a good, happy ending. Now, people say, well, around the world these days, this is the story worldwide. People need oil. We need to heat our homes and we run our cars. We need this oil. And there's natural gas there. We need the gas too. We want to make big pipelines out to the Pacific Ocean and put these big tankers filled with liquid natural gas and oil and put pipelines around the whole of Turtle Island to carry all of these, the oil as it's been refined. Even though every week there is a derailment of these oil tanker trucks on the railroads and spilling oil over all the people and all the land and all our relations, and even burning down villages in New Brunswick and Quebec. Never the mind, we just carry on. Well, my brothers and sisters, the definition of normalcy, which these people think that it's normal to do this, the definition of normalcy is those who refuse to see reality. These people are not only ignorant of reality and knowledge, they're blinded by their greed. And are we going to let them carry on with this? There are many things that we can do. Even though our ancestors and elders and dreamers and visionaries knew this was going to happen, we have been prepared for this seventh fire. All our young people, our young ones here, the fastest growing family of sisters and brothers and children here in Connecticut, all these young ones, fastest growing group, they need to be deconditioned of their poisoned minds from all the churches and the schools and the educational system that has poisoned their mind and taught them lies and propaganda, which they call science and education. It's creating nothingness in our children, and so we say, we now together will rise up and we will tell a new story, and this will be to bring back the balance, bring back the harmony, to honor the elders who have been dismissed, because these heartless ones, the Nahani, they do not honor their elders, and that is not the way of our traditional peoples. That is not the way of the Creator. The Creator honors all wisdom and knowledge and the ones that are wise as we grow. But these heartless ones throw their elders, their parents, into homes and lock them away, and they actually steal their money. Can you believe this, sisters and brothers? This is what they do. Maybe it happens in your country too. And so in this place, also these people, they're the ones that murder women. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of indigenous women here in Connecticut who over the last century, but even especially the last 20 years, have been murdered because they are women. And these Nahani, they hate feminine. They hate the women. They hate feelings. They hate emotions. They don't want to have a heart, which is why they kill women. And they hate indigenous people, because we are the ones who hold the power, the sacred Earth Mother, that she's given us the traditional rights to live forever and ever, as long as the sun shall rise in the east and set in the west. This is our land, this is our home, this is our sacred right and responsibility to care for Mother Earth and all our relations, is it not, my sisters and brothers? And so something must be done. The governments are behind all this, the corporations and banks, all those with those yellow greedy eyes and the toxic poisoned minds, and the ones who have no values, only vices, no virtues, only violence, and the ones who take away our freedom and our rights, even though it's in our Constitution. These ones must be stopped, along with all those in the corporations who want profit and money through their own greediness and their lack of knowledge, logic, and insight. These ones, the heartless ones who are ignorant in the sense they don't know any better or don't want to know any better, these are the ones we call with no conscience. And yes, even though the divine creator created us all with a heart and conscience and love, these ones seem to have forgotten that, and they like forgetting it. They're the ones in the darkness, and in the darkness we must bring them the light. So wherever you are on the planet, this story must carry on. It's time for equality and rights and justice, and it's time to honor the feminine, including Mother Earth and Grandmother Moon. Don't let them start to destroy that by sending rockets up there to mine the moon as well. And to realize that everything comes from Father Sun. We have all the solar light and heat and warmth and energy that's grown our vegetables and our corn, beans, and squash, and all our medicine plants for hundreds of thousands of years. Nay, I say to you, millions of years. Our ancestors have used just the light and love and warmth of the sun to heat themselves and the fire from the sun to cook all our food. And everything that grows, including the plants, trees, and animals, has come from the love and beneficence of our Father Sun. That's all we need now. We don't need machines. We don't need oil or gas. Everything can be brought to us through the technology of the sun. As it has been in the past for so many millions of years for all our ancestors, including the Nahani, now it will be in the future that all healing and medicine and all light and warmth and all cooking and transformation and all technology will come from our Father Sun. So respect and honor the sun, just as we need to continue to rebirth ourselves and protect and honor Mother Earth and Grandmother Moon and Grandfather Universe and all those with us here at this time, all our species of all our relations that we so love and long to be one with. This story will have a happy ending, but only unless and until each one of us, sisters and brothers and children and grandchildren all over the earth, we must take action now to make this story have a happy ending. And so it will be that our descendants, 7 generations, 77 generations, 7,777 generations in the future, because I hear them crying as you do. They want us to make sure that we have clean water to drink. We have pure air to breathe to keep our bodies and minds healthy. That we have spiritual education and knowledge that comes from the earth and all our relations themselves. And get rid of this toxic philosophy that is so brainwashing, that's so-called education. Go back and forward into the future with the knowledge and wisdom that's in the heart. That's where the truth is, the freedom, the love, the hope, the courage, the strength, and the decision to take action in a positive way to create a positive future for all our relations. All hope is with us. All strength is with us. The Creator is with us. All creation is with us. All our sisters and brothers in the one circle of the one human family are with us. We are waking up. We are taking action. And we're doing it with love for all of us, including those ones who seem to be intent on death and evil and greed. Respect them as well and realize that they are supporting us by impulsing us to take the good red road, the healing red road, here on earth, the middle path, with love and light, peace, power, and righteousness, as we say, the Garanagoa, the great law of peace of the great Mohawk teacher and leader and visionary, Degana Wida. Donna Galenkwa here, all love, peace, power, and righteousness. And keep the circle strong wherever you are, for together we will make the circle even stronger, healthier, more complete, a unity, harmony, and complete balance for all our relations. On you, the Hakche. Skanagoa, the peace is great.